All right. So for the next, hopefully, hour and a half or hour and 15, we're actually going to be looking at reports. Now, we've seen reports before and how reports can be done, right? We have the reports menu right here, and it's pretty much going to give you an outline of all the things that you can think of, whether to create a necessary report for whatever question that you choose to complete or to answer. I'm sorry. So again, every time you enter in, whether it's a customer, whether it's a sales, or whether it's a purchase order, you're creating infinite amount of resources that QuickBooks can take to create the reports that you need in a click of a button. So again, here is what you can do for reports. Now, let's go ahead and talk about what kind of reports that do exist when it comes to creating reports on QuickBooks. So there are exactly two types of quick reports. Okay, there's the accounting, and then there's business management. So again, here's a little window here that kind of gives you a little summary. Okay, now it's pretty straightforward. The accounting reports deals with the accounts that exist in your chart of accounts. So pretty straightforward. But how I actually view this one is pretty much anything that has to deal with your accounts in general, whether it's account balances, right? Where your business management is more for other information that such as your sales reports, such as your customer contact list. Those are going to be revolving on items in QuickBooks. Okay, so that's the real difference between them two. And obviously, for the accounting ones, there's actually only a few that you can do. Where for the business management, you have a lot more reports that you can do in order to figure out what question you're trying to answer when it comes to your position in the business. All right, so what we use reports for is to pretty much get some kind of idea, some kind of report, some kind of profitability. Maybe we're looking at how many customers we've collected. So basically, it just helps, learn more about the company and learn more about what the company does in its transactions. Okay, so that's what reports are. Now, when we talk about reports, you do actually have the option to choose whether you want it in cash basis or reflect as accrual basis. So here's a little counting 101 that we remembered back 2 weeks ago. Okay. Cash basis is anything that's involving with cash, right? Income and expenses are recognized when cash is either received or cash is spent. So the day that you receive the cash is the day that you record it. The day that you receive a pay or that you pay something is going to be the day that you recognize the transaction. Where accrual basis, you record the transaction when it has happened, regardless of payment or anything. Okay, really. So for example, like I will record a sale even if I say this person owes me money and that person never pays me back. I still recognize that I still made a sale. Okay, so there are some bonuses and some cons to having either or report. And the great thing about QuickBooks is it lets you create the report in cash or accrual basis very, very easily. Okay, now if you guys remember from chapter 12 or chapter 12, when we set our when we set our company file, we had the option to choose whether we want to do either cash basis or accrual basis. So this is going back to that very chapter and being able to toggle it using the preferences once you've already gone through the interview. Okay, so in this case, let's say I want to change my my accrual basis to cash basis right now. So what you can do is you can go to edit and you go to preferences, and what you're going to do is, let me pull this down so we can see it. You're gonna go to reports, reports tab. So here, reports and graphs. Okay. Once you've done that, you're gonna go to company preferences, and here you have the option to either select accrual or cash basis. So if I want cash basis, it could be done easily like this, cash or accrual. Okay, but in this case, they tell us to leave it at accrual. Now, since we're already here in the company preferences window, this is where you can also modify how you want your reports to look at. And we'll talk about customizing the reports in a second, but you can modify it so then when you start producing your reports, it automatically sets it so then you don't have to always keep customizing every single report that you do. It becomes universal throughout every single report that you create. But in this case, like I said, I will show you what happens or how to customize it in a second. So while we're already here, and we talked about changing the reports to whether you want to view them as cash or accrual basis. There's also other things that you can look over here is what you want to display when it comes to your reports. So again, this is more of a preference whether you like to use this or not. But again, all of this stuff we will talk about in a second. So again, I want to make sure it's accrual basis. Okay. Now, there is another way we can also switch back and forth to going into the cash or accrual basis. Now, let me pause that for a second because I'm going to introduce you to the Reports Center. So not only can you access the reports using your menu up here, you can also access it through your icon bar. Okay, it should be a set preference on your icon bar, so automatically it should be there, and it's going to be reports. Once you click this, you're going to get a report center. So it pretty much gives you all the different types of reports that you can think of, right? Just as standard as if it was up here in your reports menu bar. You have all of these reports, but you also have all the reports here in the report center. Okay, now how you like to view it and how you like to use it is depending on what you are actually looking for. But when you're in the report center, you actually have a little more flexibility on getting to take a look at what each report looks like or what they typically would be. You have the option to choose carousel, list, or grid view. Now, if you do carousel, right, if you're very familiar and you have a really nice active computer, you can just roll your mouse and it pretty much kind of like skims through it like a photo book, okay? Now, of course, I don't prefer this just because look how laggy it is and it's kind of slow as when I'm reacting to every single one I'm looking for, all right? List view shows you pretty much a list of all your reports. So this one you kind of have to have an idea of what report that you're looking for. But best one I would prefer is to use grid view. Grid view allows you to break down each and every single report, give you a little view or preview of what each report looks like. Okay? And that is the report center, okay? And you have it based on category of what you're looking for. So if it's dealing with the company in general, you would see that you would have your balance sheets, your income statements. If it's dealing with sales, right, you have all the sales here. If you're dealing with a customer or a vendor itself or whatever it is, so customers are here, vendors are here, so on and so forth, okay? Now, I believe they said that you're going to go to company and do the first one. So what you're going to do here is if you're on grid view or whether you're on carousel, the bottom right below it is going to ask you, well, what date do you want this report to be? Now, here you could choose at the end of this month, you could choose this fiscal period, blah, blah, blah. Or if other ones, you can use also custom. So most cases, because it's taking QuickBooks as of today's date, as you can see, it says right here that if I do this report, it's going to automatically take it as of right now, which is today is November 30th, right? So the one thing that you want to do is you want to definitely click toggle. You want to toggle this and make it a custom one, because there's other options where it says fiscal year, this fiscal year, and we're in the year 2020 when we're supposed to be doing reports that happened the prior years. So custom is always a good one to go for, especially if you're doing QuickBooks that happened in things that happened in the past, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually press this one right here, and it's going to drop down a window to have a little calendar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually select the time frame that I want to create this report for. So in this case, I want to create all my reports for January 1st, and I want my ending date to be the end of the month, so January 31st of 2019. So here you go, January 31st, 2019. And then I have the choice to either do run, info, favorite, or help. In most cases, you're going to click run. So as you can see here, it pops up my January income statement, or also known as profit and loss. All right, we'll talk about that in a second. But here at the very top of my window, I have the option to switch from cash to accrual basis. So let's look at accrual. So these are my profits that involve with everything, including sales of non-cash sales, okay? If I were to click sales or a cash basis, you could see that the numbers have changed because now it's only calculating cash sales that you actually received. So instead of having to go to edit preference and changing it from there every time, you can go ahead and make it simple and be able to look at it this way, whether it's accrual or cash basis. Okay, so this is very important, especially when we're looking at how much actual cash is flowing into your company and how much cash is actually exiting your company, right? Because the real thing core of your business is it isn't about the how many sales you make, because ultimately you need money to run your business, right? You can't rely on every single customer paying you 100% for everything that they owe you. So remember that accrual basis is great because it gets to reflect all of your sales and your profitability, but it's not a true reflection because you have people who owe you money or you owe other people money. So again, it's not a good reflection. It's only, again, it shows you what your net worth is, but in reality, your cash is what's your actual real profitability because you actually received the money for it. So again, we're talking about how to switch from accrual to cash basis, and that's how you do it given on any single report that you are currently in. All right. So we're going to actually talk about this whole entire top part in regards to this entire chapter, because we're going to talk about how to customize our reports, right? We're also going to talk about how to memorize our reports and how to print them, as well as either email or export them to Excel. Okay? And then pretty much that's pretty much what this chapter is about. Even if you forget to enter in a date before you go there, before you run your report, you can always modify it up here as well. You can create the custom here. You can create all if you'd like, and it will give you everything. You can even toggle the date right here. So you can always modify your reports at any given time. You don't need to set everything in the beginning, all right? So that's the great thing in how the great thing about QuickBooks is that in case you forget to do something, you can always modify it afterwards. Okay, so again, we're going to talk about pretty much a majority of the top bar up here for all reports. All right, and that's just showing you how to toggle between accrual and cash basis. Okay. So the very first thing is that we're going to actually talk about the difference between the accounting reports and the business management report. So our main focus now is going to be looking at accounting reports. So again, the accounting reports are anything that deals with creating reports that are based on the accounts that exist in your chart of accounts. So I believe there's a little window here that tells you what you can do as far as your chart of accounts. So anything that exists for chart of accounts, anything that has a register, or anything that pretty much pulls up any account that exists in your chart of accounts. So typically what you are going to be memorizing or understanding is accounting reports, right? There are three main financial statements, right? In accounting, in general accounting, we learned that there's four, all right? We have our profit and loss, which is also known as our income statement. We have our balance sheet, and we have our statement of cash flows, okay? Now, in accounting, we learned its income statement, statement of equity, balance sheet, and then the statement of cash flows. In QuickBooks, the balance sheet and the statement of equity is going to be combined, all right? They are together as one entity. So that's why in QuickBooks, there's three. In accounting, there's four, all right? Now, the reason why there is no statement of equity is because, when you're using QuickBooks, when you establish yourself as an equity, right? Or as some form of business organization, right? You could be a sole proprietor, a partnership, a corporation, a nonprofit organization. They all use equity, but they use equity in a completely different way. Although it does, essentially do the same thing because, however, the way that they compute the equity is what makes the difference, okay? If you're a sole proprietor, your only equity is whatever money that you invest or whatever money you take out and whatever profit you have, and you invest it back into your equity. The difference between that one and a corporation is that for stockholders' equity, you have stockholders, stocks that people invest into your company, and then you have dividends that you distribute to your shareholders. And then you have what's called retained earnings, all right, which is your profits, right? So how they calculate equity is going to be completely different. That's why they do not include it in here as QuickBooks, because of the way it's to organize your equity, right? You have a difference in every single business entity that you establish as, okay? So a little FY over there. But however, our main focus is going to be on the top three. So again, your profit and loss is pretty straightforward. It's to measure profitability, right? Whether you made a profit or not, okay? And this one's going to be one of the easier ones to recognize. So again, the infinite amount of how many ways you can look at your profit and loss is going to be listed here. So how this one's going to be listed is going to be under company and financials, okay? You have a couple options here. You have regular profit and loss summary or standard. You have the profit and loss detailed. So detailed meaning breakdowns of what items you sold. Okay. Summaries pretty much your overall amounts. Okay. You can have year to date company information. Okay. You can have your profit and loss based on the previous years. Okay. You can have profit and loss based on jobs that you've set out, based on classes. So again, we talked about looking at the difference between the different stores, right? Because that's how we classify Academy Photography, is that we have a Walnut Creek location and a San Jose location. So we can do that. You can also do it by customer, by actually not sales by customer. Profit and loss based on unclassified, meaning all together. Okay, so your overall amount. So there's only a few that you can do in regards to this. Now I'm gonna go ahead and again, each one is going to be pertinent to whatever you're looking for. Okay, but in this case, I just want to demonstrate one of them, which is going to be the profit and loss based on class. So again, I'm not going to do fiscal year, I'm going to do custom, and I'm going to change it to reflect what we were doing earlier. So January 1st of 2019 to January I think it was January 31st of 2019. All right, here we are, January 31st. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and run my report. So here it is. All right, so this is my profit and loss, and because I set it as class, I can see that if I look carefully, this is my profit and loss that occurred in my San Jose location. And I'm comparing it to my Walnut Creek, my unclassified or things that I chose that don't belong in either or. And then, so this is pretty much like my overhead. So as you remember, when we do overhead, that's going to be unclassified because it doesn't belong in San Jose or it doesn't belong in Walnut Creek. It belongs to both entities or the company in general. So as you could see that San Jose, my net income for San Jose is $1,828, where my Walnut Creek location is $1,071. So as you can see here, my profit is going to be a lot higher in San Jose, but that doesn't mean too much in regards to profitability overall. It's not saying, though, maybe this month of January, San Jose just happens to do a lot better than my Walnut Creek. But they're not doing better by too much difference, right? It's only off by $700. That's like what one photo shoot, okay? So again, here it gives you pretty much information on if someone is a sales representative in the San Jose location. They could be like, well, geographically wise, right, we need to create another location. Maybe we'll do it in San Francisco, right? Because there's a lot of, scenery there. A lot of people, it's just a way that we can utilize this information saying, well, at least both of our branches or both of our store locations, they're profiting something. So maybe it could be ideal to open up another one. So again, every single report is going to be answering a different question depending on what you're looking for. So again, here's an example of using a profit and loss based on class. Okay? So again, you can also read on every single one. I'm not going to go through every single profit and loss there is in QuickBooks, but they pretty much give you a little synopsis or tells you a little details on what they represent. Okay, so for example, for the classes, again, we have our classes as our store locations. Okay, so yes, that is profit and loss for you. Again, I'm not going to go through every single one because there's a little description on each one. Okay. So then the next thing I'm going to talk about is going to be the balance sheet. So again, I'm going to go ahead and close this. So again, we talked about the balance sheet. If you go to company and financials again in your report center, as you can see, the first ones that we see are your profit and loss. If you keep scrolling down, you'll see that you'll have your balance sheets below. So here's your balance sheets and net worth. So again, your balance sheet answers the basic accounting equation, which is your assets are equal to your liabilities and your equity. So that's the question you're trying to ask. You're asking yourself, what is the total assets that you have versus how much you owe, and what is the actual worth of your company? So that is what the balance sheet is for. All right. So again, there's different ones that you can have. Common ones that you would definitely use is the standard one. Reason being because they're not like we choose standard because this is the one that you submit to IRS. Okay, these ones are more for filter purposes, like for example, year to end stuff, details. Again, details show you every single item on there. Summary just gives you an overall overview of it. Okay, and then here's your net worth that you can do too. So for balance sheet, there's not very many options you can choose. So again, if I decide to just go ahead and just click on this, right? Oh, I forgot to change the date, right? It's okay. You'd be able to change it here. You can choose all, you could choose custom, you could choose last week even, but I'm going to go ahead and click all. But I think I want to actually choose a date too. So maybe all is not what I want. Maybe I want to do a custom one. And I want, again, January 1st of 2019. And I'm going to show totals only. Let me set this to a custom one. Yeah, custom. So I want as of January 1st. Okay, sounds good. And then when you do change this, though, so make sure that you know this, you need to always click refresh because that's going to refresh the page if you do it. Now, again, I should have chose this one as the end of the month because usually when you do your financial statements, it's at the end of a given period. So this would reflect it a lot better. So as of January 31st. Okay, as you can see, here's all my accounts that I used for my balance sheets. So again, all my assets total up to be total current assets, other assets, fixed assets. So my total assets is going to be for 51,593. Okay, so there's my assets here, and if I scroll down, here's my liabilities and my equity. Okay, and it gives me the same exact amount. Okay, so again, my balance sheet reflects my accounting equation. Okay, so that is it for the balance sheet. Okay, not last, but a part of this is going to, the last financial statement that we learned is going to be the statement of cash flows. So again, the statement of cash flows is pretty much allowing you to see the actual money that has actually came into your company and how much is actually being flowed out. So this is where the whole accrual and cash basis is coming into play. Okay, so this one is actually going to tell you how much money is actually going into your company, all right, and how much bills you are actually paying. So it's taking the accrual basis and it's going to convert it into cash basis. And they have a simple one called, they simplify it by having you do a report for the actual cash flows for your actual company. So here's a statement of cash flows. So there's only a couple that you can look at it. So you have the standard one, and then you have this one. So again, I'm going to toggle the date here, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at the actual amount of cash flows I have for the month of January. And I'm going to go ahead and run the report. So here you go. Here's my actual cash flows that I have for the month of January. As you can see, it's involving all of your assets and it's basically converting it into cash, liquidating them in a sense. All right. Here we talked about how the net income also affects the amount of your cash flows, right? But we have to assume that not all of those sales that's reflected here, because we have it as a accrual basis and converting into cash, we have to assume that not all of those sales are actually cash. So that's why we have to reverse the accounts receivable to reflect a real amount of cash that we actually earned. So in this case, the amount of cash flows I should actually have at the end of January is going to be $30,000. Okay, so again, those are the three financial statements that are very, very important, especially when you're wrapping up and summing up your total end of the period thing. It's part of the accounting cycle that you have to complete before closing your books. Okay. Now there are two other ones I'd like to talk to you guys about in regards to what you can do for these reports. Okay, so two other ones that are more accounting style, I guess you would say, or fit under the categories of accounting will be your general ledger and your trial balance. So again, the general ledger is straightforward. When we go into the accounting class, it is pretty straightforward. It's a list of all of your accounts with their associated balances. Okay, so again, you can obviously find that by going to your chart of accounts, but this time I want to look at in a report form. So by doing so, I can go to it's going to be under accounting and accountant and taxes, and it's going to be here, the general ledger. So again, I can take a quick screenshot of my account balances that exist as of the month that I choose. So again, if you go to your chart of accounts, that's going to give you the most updated ones as of the date that you are currently on right now. So for this instance, I'd be on November. So that's my account balances as of today. But in this one, we can pull information and pull reports as of certain dates. So again, I'm going to choose January 1st, okay? And I'm going to have it all the way to not the current month or the current date. I'm going to have it reflect as of for the month of January. And I'm going to go ahead and click run. Okay? So here you go. This is going to be a list of all of your accounts that exist in your chart of accounts with their associated appropriate, whatever you call them, account balances. Okay, so every single detail is here with their account balances right here. Okay, so it pretty much is a really, really long one because we have so many accounts that exist here on, sorry if I made you guys dizzy. Every single account that exists in our books, and it's for the month of January. So again, if you have active accounts, so we talked about this in chapter 7 or chapter 12 actually, when we set up our chart of accounts. If you have inactive accounts, you can block them off from here. So if you do choose to have them inactive, they will not appear on your reports. But if you forget to inactivate them, they will appear on your accounts with their associated zero balances. So this gives you every single account that exists, including if it's just a zero balance. Okay? So that's this one. All right? And then we're going to talk about also dealing with the trial balance. Okay? And we're going to also toggle the same date. Okay, but the difference between the general ledger and the trial balance is it's going to be the same thing where we have all the associated account balances, right? So it's going to be a list of every single account that exists in your chart of accounts. However, the only difference is it will not show account balances that have zero balances in them. Okay, and let's see. January 31st and run. So as you can see, here you go. It's a lot shorter because it's only taking accounts that actually have balances in them. Oh, except for this one. Oh, journal entries. Yeah, that's a necessity because journal entries, and we'll talk about this when we adjust our entries, adjust our books. So that's definitely important that we still have that on there. But as you can see, all the accounts have some kind of account balance on them, except for, what's that, opening balances. Obviously, we don't have an opening balance in here, but again, some of these do have them, some of them don't. But primarily, when we look at our general ledger, we had a lot of zero balances, especially in our expenses account. As you can see, it's been eliminated, all right? So, that's your trial balance for you guys. All right. Any questions in regards to accounting reports?
Not for me.
Okay. All right. So again, if you go to reports from the very menu and you go to your company, where is it? Company and financials. As you can see, it's a drop-down list of all the three major financial statements that we talked about, right? The profit and loss, balance sheet, and the statement of cash flows. Okay. And then we talked about the accounting and taxes, which allows you to see your trial balance and your general ledger. It also allows you to see other things as well as like your journal, okay, and anything like that. So you have more of extensive list here when you actually go to your menu bar, because again, your menu bar has and holds every single transaction you have here. So because I'm also using QuickBooks Pro, QuickBooks Premier has over 150 industry reports. So meaning beyond what you see here is you have tailored reports that are geared towards what industry you belong in. Okay, but in this case, I'm only on QuickBooks Pro, so I cannot unfortunately see every single thing that a Premiere program can do. Okay, so again, that is the accounting one. So again, if you just toggle here, you could pretty much find your information here. Okay. So of course, the next set of things I'm going to be teaching you again is going to be the business management reports. So again, we talked about this. We talked about how anything that's not involved in the accounts, so people, right? Transactions such as sales or purchases of inventory, right? Or bills per se, those are all going to be categorized as your business management type of reports. So people, items, sales, those are all going to be business management related. Okay. Now they do have a few of them that I will show you just a little bit for, just because again, these are going to be based on what you are looking for and what position you belong into, okay? If you're a sales representative, then your reports are going to be geared towards your sales and your customers. If you are an inventory manager, your reports are going to be based on your purchases, your accounts payable, not per se, but anything that has to do with your inventory, right? So your items list is definitely going to be considered your inventory. Anything that has to do with accounts payable, et cetera, and so on and so forth, right? So I'm only going to show you a few reports because there are too many reports for business management that I'm going to have to go over and I just do not have time for. And again, maybe even knowing this may not even be relevant to your position in the future, okay? So again, if you choose to want to know more about every single business management report, you may do so by just clicking reports and going through every single one, or going to your report center, clicking on them, and you get a little overview on what they are. Okay, so again, it's pretty straightforward when it comes to reports. But however, I'll show you a few things that you can do, such as, for example, they said that you can look at item pricing list. So again, when we looked at our items that we sell, right? Here, you can go ahead and take a look at the list of items that you do sell and what price you actually set them as. So here it's going to be under list. And you're just going to have to find it at the very top to find your items price list. Okay. So again, here you have a few options you can choose. You could choose your customer phone list. You could choose your vendor contact list, etc. Employee contact list. So yes, you do actually have those kinds of things too. Other names, so people like your boss's information, your CEO, your coworkers, they will be considered other names. Okay, so here's account list. So here's your chart of accounts all in one list. You can create an accounting list just like that. So here you go, item pricing list. So I'm going to go ahead and run this because actually I'm going to go ahead and change the beginning date because I want to know what I want to know what I set my pricing list as of January 2019 to now. What's my current amount of items that I sell them as? So as you can see here, you have your items listed by exactly what you offer. So again, this is your items list. So here's my outdoor photography or outdoor photo shoot. My list that I priced it out as is $95. Okay, so this is good for especially if you want to mark up your values or you want to change the pricing due to inflation. Okay, because again, when we move along with the economy, right, supply and demand, we also need to make sure that our prices reflect so then people are willing to pay for it. Obviously, so like probably if this was back in 2000 and I charged them $95, in 2020 I probably charge them now $150 because of due to inflation. So this is a good way that you can take a look at all of your items that you price them out as and either mark them up or mark them down. So that's what you can do for this report. All right. And we'll talk about the customer list and what you can do with it when we actually start customizing it. All right. So any questions in regards to business management reports? Again, there's too many and they're pretty self-explanatory. No? No questions?
No, ma'am.
All right. Let's see if we're doing good on time. So it's 11 o'clock. Good. So the next portion is going to be talking about QuickBooks graphs. Now, as you did see, let me explain. Let me go back. As we went through our report center and we got to take a little look at, a little preview of each and every single one that we have. What you can do is you can have existing graphs that go along with your reports. So for this example here, if you use the report center, you'd be able to see a quick preview of each report and which ones actually have graphs. So definitely one that you will have is your profits and loss, and you will also have one in sales. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and let's do the sales one because that one's a little more important. So here, I'm going to go ahead and look at my sales graph here, right? And of course, I'm going to toggle the dates to January as it's, I think it was January all the way to January 31st. Okay, so one more. There you go, January 31st. Okay, and if I go ahead and click run, what's going to happen is that it will create a graph for you. So I might have chose the wrong dates for this one, so it doesn't look like in your book. But if you choose the same exact dates, it should look just like your book. In this case, I'm looking at my sales based on my item that I offer and what I sell to my consumers. So as you can see right here, it gives you a little quick overview of what is, primarily in regards to what your highest sales is. So in this case, my largest chunk is going to be my green one, okay, which is going to be my camera SR32. So if I actually click on this green color, what's going to happen is, come on, you see that? Now you see it's going to open up another window. And here it tells me an exact sales report on that that camera SR32 camera, right? It tells me that my exact amount here is going to be that I had more than $2,000 worth of sales in my SR camera. Okay, same thing with my photographer fees, right? Let me see if I can locate my outdoor photo shoots. So my outdoor photo shoots is this little light blue one. If I were to just go ahead and double click that, it's gonna show me the piece of information right here. My light blue by outdoor photo shoots only consisted of less than $400. All right. So that's what you could do with graphs, is that it will automatically create it for you. Now there is a little couple downsides to this. Okay, you cannot customize the colors that come with the reports. Meaning, so the colors that you see here, this red, blue, yellow, green, you cannot change it. All right, you can't customize it to your color scheme, to your company. That whatever color that they choose, that's what you have to go with. So it's a little downside that you can't customize it. But then again, if you're selling more than like 10 items, you have to choose 10 colors. And I think that's primarily what the issue was, is some people don't select enough colors. So they just automatically do it for you. So you can't customize it, and you can only view or zoom in on the details for each graph. Okay? So that is how to create graphs. It does it for you automatically. Okay? And I just showed you an example of the sales. Okay? Now here I'm going to go ahead and talk about building custom reports. All right, so any questions in regards to building graphs? You don't actually get to build them. You just are able to just click and be able to look at it. Okay?
In other words, I'm sorry, the graph that we were showing a while ago, because it has two graphs, one that shows only the one that has the highest sale, whereas the pie graph shows all the different products that is being sold with the corresponding percentage of sales.
And with a graph, a pie graph, it's you can kind of guesstimate as well. But of course, when you're in QuickBooks, you can actually see how much of the profits it is. Okay. So then I'm going to talk to you guys about how to customize your information, or customize your reports. So I'm going to go ahead and use this as an example. So I'm going to go to and use my customer contact list, okay? And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you how you can customize it. As you can see, my list of my customer contact list, as you can see, has the name, the address, the phone number, and etc., right? It's very minuscule as far as what is the standard one. If I go ahead and click customize reports, what you can do is you can customize a lot of things that can happen, such as displaying. You can display as much information as you need to build a report. Now, let's say I'm going to create this as a promotional advertising purposes, as in I'm going to mail out every single person that's under my customer contact list and send them out an advertising saying, hey, come in now, I don't know, Black Friday sale, all items are going to be 40% off, whatever you want to do, right? So I need to create a contact list that doesn't involve all the details. All I really need is the name of the person, the address, and that's it. So what I can do here is I can look here and see what information I'm going to be needing. Do I need the customer? Yes, I do. Okay. Do I need their balance totals? No, I do not. I do want to know if they're a Miss or Mrs. I do want their first name, and I do want their last name. Okay? I don't need their fax number. I don't need their phone number either. And let's see what else is here. Primary contact, I don't need this. But I definitely want a ship to or bill to address. So I don't need the bill to, because we're not billing them. And then you can look here, they have a ship to address. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead and just keep the bill to and make sure that I have the street address, the city, the state, and the zip code, and obviously the country, right? Because I'm going to utilize this as my promotional guide. All right. And what you could do is you could have it ascending order, meaning if you want your information to be alphabetical order. In this case, they're all alphabetical order from A to Z. So if you want it ascending, it's going to be A to Z. If you want it descending, Z to A. All right. And that's just displaying. Okay. You can also filter your items based on their either active status or for all people who have fax phone numbers, etc., things like that. So in this case, I don't need to put any filters in here. Headers and footers. So this is very important, especially if you're building a list based on your company. So as you can see here, my header for my title of this report right here, where it says Academy Photography Reports Chapter. Okay, so it says customer contact list, right? I can change that based on my company's color. I can change the font of it, whatever the looks I want, I can change it. So in this case, if you could see in this little tiny box right here, this is a preview of what you can do. So in this case, I want to, maybe I want to change the header and footer, all right? So again, if you want to change the fonts, you can change it too. But header and footer, how do I want this information to look? Do I want my title to be aligned, left aligned? You want it in the middle? What date do you want to place it as? Again, you can change the date as well. Alignment, I have it as standard, but you can have it left. So if you look carefully, my title's at the left. Or I can have it centered, so now it's back in the middle. Okay, and etc. If you want to also have it all in one page, you can have it all in one page. Okay, any fonts and colors, so as you know, we have it as this blue right now. So if I want to change my company name, so right now it's this blue, right? I want to change the color to let's change, so you're going to change the font, and I want to select that maroon color because that is the color of Academy Photography. And I'm going to make the sizing of my title of my company to be size 18, so make it a little bigger. Okay, font is fine. I don't really care too much for the font. Maybe I'll choose this one. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And what's going to do is you want to save the changes, you say yes. And what's going to happen is it's going to show you what it looks like here as the example. And once you say, yes, I like it, and you want to move on with it, then you're going to go ahead and click at the bottom where it says OK. And then now it's changed my formatting to this. And it changed my font color, formatting, and everything to it. And if you look carefully, as you can see, I have my customers, their address, whether they're a Miss or a Mr., first name, last name, okay? First name, last name, right? And I have their street address, their zip code, and whatnot. I have everything formatted how I like it. And once you've done that, what you're going to learn is you can actually memorize this, meaning the next time you build the same exact report or another report, you can select this and just change the date, and it will save all the changes that you've made to this one. So here it says customer contact list. I'm going to write promotional ads, mailing, or promotional mailing addresses. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and verify, well, do I want to save this in groups? Yes, I do. And do I want to save this report as a template with others? And I'm going to say no. Okay, this is just making sure that when you do this, so that you want to make sure that it is saving the template, meaning you want to keep this as a potential one that you want to use for the other different reports you can create. Here is where you want to place it. So I want to place this under customers, and I'm going to click OK. All right, now I got that picture approval of this exact one. So now the question is, where do you see or where do you find these memorized reports? Okay, so I'm going to exit out of here, and at the very top of my report center, I have standard, I have memorized, and I have favorites as well as recent. Now, of course, the recent one's going to show up, obviously, in my customer contact list. Okay, but if I go to memorized, all right, I placed it under customers, and if I scroll down, the last thing that you should see is going to be, actually, I guess it's in alphabetical order. So what did I name it as? Promotional, where are you? Promotional, I saved you under customers. There it is, promotional mailing addresses, okay? If I click this, here it is, all right? And I can change, obviously, the date to whatever I want it to be. And that's a customized report that you memorized. So one thing that you have to do is if you plan to memorize a report, make changes to it first and then select to memorize it. So then you can always pull this information whenever you need to have it available. Okay? If you don't want to customize, then everything that's standard, it's pretty straightforward. You just have to locate it and you can save it as a favorite, so then that could be one of the reports that you use often. But that's how you customize it, that's how you memorize it, and that's how you locate where you memorized your reports. All right, so I pretty much went through all of that. Any questions in regards to what you could do with your reports? Let's see. No? Okay, let's see if we're good on time. Okay, so it's 11:14. We got 15 minutes to finish up the rest of this class. So, again, we talked about customizing and memorizing reports. So there are two more things that I want to talk about before we head on to the end of this chapter. So one of them is going to be understanding the difference between a quick report, and then the other one is going to be looking at how to be able to export your reports into different files. So let me go ahead and find that page here. So here's exporting. Okay, so again, I'm going to go ahead and talk about that right now. So as you can see, this is my promotional address, the mailing addresses that I plan to send out to my customers, right? Okay, now of course, let's say for instance that you want to send this or that you need it to be in a file that could be easily converted or maybe you need to add a few changes to it. So what you can do is you can export it into Excel. Now, again, QuickBooks, they partnered up with Microsoft, so they're very flexible when it comes to integrating with Microsoft Excel. So you need to have, obviously, Microsoft Excel in order to be able to do this. Okay, so here at the very top of the window, so here is my customers list for my promotional advertising sales. So what I'm going to do here is I can go up here and click Excel, and I'm going to create a new worksheet. Once I do that, okay, so here it's going to give me this little window. Okay, so this one, it doesn't give me what kind of options I can utilize or to create the Excel file, but don't worry, because you clicked export to Excel, it will make it an Excel file. So I'm going to go ahead and click export. All right, now it's going to tell me which location do I want to save it in. So I'm going to save it as, I'm going to go ahead and save this in my other folder. Okay, so for AM QuickBooks for 1116, which is you guys, I'm going to name this as promotional mailing addresses list. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and click OK or save. Now, once you get that little box with the green thing saying it's okay and it disappears, what you're going to do is you're going to locate that file. Now, of course, it's going to be in my documents where I placed it, which was in your portable files, which was in the AM QuickBooks 1116. And here I'm going to look for my promotional PPP. So here it is, promotional mailing address list. As you can see, it is an Excel file. And if I double tap that, it's going to open up Excel and it's going to show me the exact list that I have written out or that I've exported into Excel. So you can change, manipulate, print, whatever you want to do with this. Maybe you didn't like the headings that they had. So you can make changes here and make it so then it's compatible for you. And you, of course, you can email this, whatever you want to do to make sure that you have it all there. So that's what you can do when you're exporting it to Excel. All right, so that's the great thing about QuickBooks is it's feasible to other multiple programs. And the one that's compatible is going to be Microsoft Excel. All right. Any questions in regards to exporting the details or exporting any report in general? Okay. No questions? Okay. So the last thing I'm going to teach you or talk about at least is going to be utilizing the quick reports. As I've discussed with you before, there should be a little chart here in the right here. So this is what you can do with quick reports. Quick reports can be a quick report on either your chart of accounts, okay? And we talked about the difference between registers and quick reports in the chart of accounts. We talked about that. So what you can also do for quick reports is anybody that's a person in your list, you can do quick reports on them as well. Registers are also one of them. And lastly, for any forms or any types of things such as an invoice, remember with bill tracker and with the income tracker, you can create a quick report using that. All right. So what am I talking about? So if you guys remember in chapter 12, when we talked about the different types of accounts that exist in QuickBooks, right? We have 5 main accounts. We have our assets, we have our liabilities, equity, expenses, and our revenues. Now, we talked about the difference between separating them, right? We talked about that our permanent accounts, okay, which is our assets, liabilities, and our equity, they have registers, okay? And we talked about that. Remember when you double click on your checking account, what happens? You get a register, okay? You get to enter in information as you please, right? And then we talked about your temporary accounts, which are your income or your revenues, as well as your expenses. And if I were to go ahead and tap on, let's say, for example, utilities expense, or let's do it, utilities expense. it becomes a quick report. Obviously, there's nothing in my utilities expense, so that's not a good reflection of it. But usually, anything that is ongoing or a temporary account. So this could be possible that I've closed it out earlier in the day. So, for example, cost of goods sold. Yep, it's gone unless I toggle the date here. And let's say I change it to, what was it, January of 2019. And there you go. There you go. That's my cost of goods sold, but it didn't show me as a register. It appeared to me as a quick report. All right? And that's what the difference is. So all expenses and all revenues are already in quick report form. It gives you a quick synopsis of whatever you're looking for. Okay? Now, that doesn't mean registers cannot be in a form of a quick report. So again, if I were to go ahead and go back to my checking account, and let's say I don't want to scroll all through all these transactions. I'd rather have a quick report and to view it a lot more easier. So what I can do here is at the not this one. Sorry, my bad. Okay, as I can see, it's a register. What I can do is when I'm in my chart of accounts, I can select and highlight it, right? At the very bottom, I have reports. And I could go ahead and click that and say, I want a quick report. So here, gives me a list of my transactions in one view without me having to scroll up or down and edit the information. Right here, boom, quick report. All right? And again, you can also do that to your customers as well. For example, right, I can go ahead and go to my customer center. Customers. Okay. And I'm going to choose somebody that has a pretty big transaction. So, for example, Maria Cruz, right? As I can see, that's a lot of transactions that has happened between me and Maria Cruz. So what I can do is I can click Run Report, and right, and it says View as Report. Boom. There is a quick report of all the transactions that happened between me and Maria Cruz. So that's what quick reports can do. It can just give you a summary of any type of, whether it's an account, right? Using your chart of accounts, whether it's a register, whether it's the people, right? You can make a list of all your customers, right? You can make a report on that. You can make a report on each individual person, right? And it's quick and easy. All right? And that is the last thing I wanted to show you. So, whether it's a customer, whether it's a vendor, whether it's an account, specific an account, you can create a quick report for anything, right? So, any questions in regards to Chapter 6 reports? Okay, a lot of this is pretty self-explanatory and easy to learn. Was that a question? No? No questions?
No questions.
All right, so let's go ahead and do the review questions. Okay. So number 1, what are the 2 major types of reports? C. Did I hear C?
C.
Yes, C. Accounting and business management. We just spent the whole class talking about the difference between the two. Number 2, okay? Use the customized reports button on any report to...
A.
Yes, A, to add or delete columns or to change the accounting basis. Okay, yes, you can. Okay. Nowhere did I say about changing the width and stuff about the windows. Printing the reports on a blank piece of paper. Obviously, you have to do that through the print option. And then D, memorize the reports for future uses. No, you need to customize first before you can memorize it. That's not what that is for. All right? Number 3 says, okay, you cannot create a quick report for.
You put D.
Yes, D. You cannot create it for inaccurate and incorrectly posted ending, whatever, transactions. Number 4. All right, we have to create a report that lists each of your vendors along with their addresses and stuff. Okay, what report is that?
A.
A. Display the vendor contact list. Yes, this pretty much is the vendor contact list. So yes, A is correct. Last but not least, okay, in order to activate the profitability. Yeah, in order to analyze the profitability of your company, you should B. Create a profit and loss report. Yes. The whole purpose of the profit and loss is to, again, see profitability. All right. So that is it for today. Things to look for